Hello, this is Steve, Dichroic Glassman. Going to go into a little interesting area. I've had a lot of people ask me, how do I create being colorblind? You know, I really didn't know how to answer that in an accurate way until I found this box of borders that I've been cutting up and saving over the years. And I realized as I look at these dusty pieces of glass, that evolution that I went through, being almost totally colorblind, wanting to jump in, and yet, like the rest of everybody else that's a newcomer, is what do I make? What do I do now? Gee, I seen a toilet paper tissue dispenser in Sears and this and that. And so I wanted to kind of throw a thought at you. Seeing all these these border pieces that I cut up years past, which provided as a tool that many times, and what I'm suggesting for you folks, I didn't know what I wanted to make. And I let the color dictate how I felt, then I created. Does that make sense? I didn't look to a book for a ship or a mermaid. I made a border. And a feeling came about as a result of making that border. Do you follow me now? I made a border. And because of the colors, it gave me the emotional feeling I was looking for, a place to start. So what I'm proposing to folks is make your border. Find, in starting that breadcrumb mentality of taking the first step forward, of wanting to create something for yourself. This is an 18 by 18 inch. This isn't necessarily what I'm going to do in here. It's to start the conversation. But if we took the first steps in making a quality parameter, whether it be oval, round, square, rectangle, it doesn't really matter. But if we have that foundation to start with as a given, then, and I use dichroic accents here, so this kind of leads me to where I could do a design, elaborate on it, and thus, put a circle around. In other words, once I had that border in place, the next thought is, what do I do in the middle? Or am I done with the edges? I could just as easily throw another little narrow band on there if I really want to be. There was a time that I loved borders, doubles, triples. You could interrupt it and put a circle in the corner, and you could do some other things, but and different treatments, of course, for your borders. But I'm saying as a foundation, place to start, begin to take the stress off of what am I going to make, and the myriad. It's kind of like jumping into a crayon coloring book with 128 crayons. It's just a little overwhelming with all the colors, all the textures, all the densities, this glass, that effect, this effect. What is all this stuff going on? Boats, ships, bears, oh my. It's overwhelming. I'm saying from an organic point of view, very foundational, very beginning. This is, by the way, a square. Depends on how you do it. But make yourself a border. As hilarious as that sounds, make it in green, in a row. If your first two steps is your best two steps, I mean, come on, and you're really proud of that match, this one, and whatever you do, however you segment, this all on you. This your beginning. How are you going to begin? I know for me, being colorblind, it definitely shows up as being inept. not capable of making that choice as easily, as readily as if I had color choices. At least I know if I was envisioning a sailboat, I would see what those supportive colors would look like, blues and greens and this and that. Well, I'm colorblind. I don't have a natural way of viewing sailboats and frogs and saying that's not a frog color. How would I know? I'm colorblind. I deal with emotion, as many others do. If a person's logically minded, they're going to choose for this color, that color, that color, and that color, because that's what the color wheel tells them. I envy those people as I'm doodling. Design doodle. But literally, if we do take a step in the beginning and saying, ooh, I love that piece of glass, what could I do with it? Well, then start the process. Make yourself the borders. Unfoil them. I started here just to accentuate how I segmented them. So again, this video is a little bit different direction, but it's starting out in the beginning, and really, I'm colorblind. Does it have anything to do with you? I'm colorblind. I don't really have that repertoire of all those color choices for me to view what do I want to make today. Today I'm very clear on what I want to make. I love sacred geometry and I love abstract. But I don't know what I want to do in the middle here. What do I want to do? But once I have the border, I have options. And I get to dictate what I want to put in there. I might just put a big circle in there and put a hummingbird in there. Maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe I want to put a rose. But see, I'm thinking and I'm going to invent. But I'm going to participate in this. I'm going to create my own evolution. And it's going to begin with the borders because that's where they all got to start anyway. If you're doing a pattern or panel, that calls for borders. Some things are not necessary for a border. Borders are containment. It's a frame. You want a finished thing, an image within this frame, border, containment, parameter, fence line, you know, property lines. There's different feelings and effects when you don't have a border, when the boat goes on forever. Or do you want to contain it? I want to contain it in this picture, this panel, because it's all uniform. There's no borders that are gone for my design to seep out, as in freehand affords you. But how do we begin the process of stained glass design, and how do I feel about it, and what mood are you in? And how do you know if you're not in a sailboat mood and at noon you're in a flower mood? Or tulip, or something just happened and all of a sudden you go into your shop and the border tells you this is what I want to make. So for a point of fascination, go into your shop and create yourself a border. As silly as it feels, that's what I had to do, being colorblind, which I'm color free, let's face it. You might be intrigued. You might have fun with it. You might create your own. You might find a really great piece of glass, not know what to do with it. You didn't see that as leaves. Well, duh. But it could be 3/4 inch borders, and there's enough for 3 borders within this. But yeah, you might want to make a project based on how you feel, not what you think. The thinking part will come about after the feeling. See what you think. I'm going to start selling these border sets on my Etsy to get people started. Accurately cut. I'll identify the center. This is an 18 by 18 inch. I will not be foiling your pieces of glass, but I will mark the centers so that you know. and then everything can be foiled. And you're going to get dichroic jewels in it, bevels. Whoopee! Hey, hope to hear some feedback. Thank you for the warm comments and compliments as always. Bye-bye.